Okechukwu lay flat in the grass. The mud was cold against his chest. His heart was beating so hard he thought it would give him away. He had followed his wife 6 times before tonight. 6 times he lost her in the dark. Tonight, he did not lose her. Below him, the Oyimiri River moved black and silver under the moon. And his wife was in it. She stood waist deep, her wrapper gone. Her skin caught the moonlight in a way that was wrong. Too smooth. Too perfect. Like water had no power over her the way it had power over everything else. Her head was tilted back. Her mouth was open. She was drinking. Not sipping water the way a person drinks from a river. Drinking the way someone drinks when they have hidden their thirst for a very long time. He watched her throat move. Then the water around her began to change. The surface split open in 3 places, slow, quiet. Like something rising from below that did not need to hurry. 3 heads broke the water, then shoulders, then 3 women who had not been there a second before. No splash, no sound. They were simply there, the way something that belongs to water is always already in the water. One of them turned her head, slow, sure of herself. For half a second, her eyes found the grass where Okechukwu was hiding, and stayed there. He stopped breathing. Then she looked away, like a man hiding in the grass meant nothing more to her than an insect near a lamp. His wife laughed, a sound he knew well, but here it moved through the water instead of across the air. She said something to the other women. The words were not Igbo. They were not any language he knew. He lay in that grass until his legs went numb. He did not move until the women had gone back under the water, and his wife, Ngozi, the woman he had married, the woman who cooked his food and called him my husband, walked alone back to the bank, dried herself with her bare hands, and dressed like she had done nothing more than wash plates at a stream. He went home a different way, through the farms, so his footprints would not follow hers. That night he lay beside her and listened to her breathe, slow, even, dry. And as he lay there, his hand brushed the side of his own arm, a mark, a faint cold mark on his skin shaped like a small wet handprint, exactly where one of those women had looked at him from the water. It had not been there before tonight. He pressed his fingers against it. It did not warm.
If you are new here, welcome. Welcome back, family. Tell us in the comments where you are watching from. Like this video, share it with someone you love, subscribe and turn on the bell so you don't miss what comes next, because this story is only getting started.
3 months earlier, Okechukwu had nothing. He farmed a small piece of land behind his mother's compound. Most seasons, it gave him just enough to feed himself and help his mother a little. He was not poor the way some men in Achala were poor, but he was not far from it either. Then he married Ngozi, and everything began to change. It started small. A buyer from the city offered him double the normal price for his yams, for no reason anyone could explain. Then a man he barely knew repaid an old debt Okechukwu had forgotten about, dropping more money in his hand than the debt had ever been worth. Then his small farm, which had given him barely enough the season before, gave him 3 times what it had ever given. Within 2 months, Okechukwu built a new room onto his mother's house. Within 3, he bought his first motorcycle. People in Achala noticed. At first, they were happy for him. They called him lucky. They said marriage had changed his fortune the way a good wife sometimes does. But while Okechukwu was rising, Achala itself was sinking. The dry season that year was the worst anyone could remember. Boreholes that had never failed before started giving out. Farms that had fed families for years gave half what they used to give. Men who had always managed to feed their children were now going to the market with empty hands and tired faces. It happened slowly enough that no one said anything at first. Then someone did. It was at the market, on a Thursday morning, that Okechukwu first heard it with his own ears. He was buying pepper from a woman named Mama Ebereki, paying with a note larger than she had ever seen from him before. She took the money slowly. She looked at it, then looked at him. Everyone in this town is suffering, she said quietly, not quite meeting his eyes. But your hands are never empty. God has truly blessed you. She said it like a blessing. But her eyes did not match her mouth. Okechukwu walked home that day with a strange feeling sitting in his chest, one he could not yet name. He would learn its name soon enough. It was 2 weeks after that morning at the market that Okechukwu noticed the sponge. He had finished his bath and reached for his wife's sponge from the shelf, since his own had torn. It was completely dry. Not just dry from sitting in the heat, dry the way cloth is dry when it has not touched water in a week. But he had heard her bathing that morning. He had heard the water. He had heard her humming behind the door, the way she always did. He told himself there was an explanation. He believed it for a while, the way a man believes the thing he needs to believe. Then that same week, he noticed something else. In 3 months of marriage, he had never once seen his wife drink water. Not at breakfast. Not at the hottest hour of the afternoon, when even strong men begged for something cold. Not once. He began to watch her without telling her he was watching. One evening, he set a full cup of water beside her plate and said nothing. She lifted it to her lips, tilted her head back, and set it down again. Later, when she left the table, he checked the cup, still full. Not one drop gone. He sat very still, his appetite leaving him completely. A week later, he pretended to sleep and watched her rise from their bed past midnight. She did not go toward the water bucket by the door. She walked straight past it, out into the dark, toward the bush path that led to the river. He followed. He lost her that first night, and the second, and 4 more after that. On the 7th night, he changed his plan. He went to the river ahead of her and hid in the tall grass before she ever left the house. That was the night he saw everything. That was the night the mark appeared on his arm. The morning after, Nyosi woke beside him as if nothing had happened. She stretched. She kissed his cheek. She rose to cook, humming her usual song.
You didn't stretch this morning.
Okechukwu watched her from the bed and said nothing. He did not know which frightened him more, what he had seen at the river, or how ordinary she looked now, cracking eggs into a bowl like any wife in a chala. He went through that day like a man underwater himself. He greeted neighbors without hearing his own voice. He worked his farm without remembering what he had planted where. That evening at the table, he could not eat. You haven't touched your food, Ngozi said, watching him closely.
Are you not well?
He looked at her, soft eyes, gentle hands, a voice that had never once been raised against him.
I'm fine,
he said. Just tired,
that's all.
She studied him a moment too long, then nodded and returned to her own empty plate. That night, lying beside her, Okechukwu made a decision. He would not run. He would not tell his mother, who would only bring a pastor or a native doctor before anyone understood what they were dealing with. He would not confront her in anger. He would watch. He would learn. He would understand before he chose anything. He did not know that the choice would soon stop belonging to him alone. 3 days later, walking the farm path home in the late afternoon, Okechukwu came face to face with a woman standing in the middle of the trail.
It is time.
She was not Ngozi, but she had the same too smooth skin, the same dark, knowing eyes. She was one of the women from the river. You should not have followed her, she said. Her voice carried a strange echo that did not belong to the quiet farmland around them. But you have seen what you have seen.
We have something
to discuss, husband of Ngozi. He gripped his hoe tighter, though he already knew it would do nothing if she meant him harm. What do you want from me? He asked. Nothing, she said. But I will tell you what your wife is, since she has not told you herself. She began to circle him slowly.
She is a daughter of the river,
she said.
Before she was your wife, she belonged to the water.
The blessing that has come to you since your marriage, your money, your land, your luck, all of it has come through her, through us. Okechukwu's chest went tight. And the village? He asked, the question rising in him before he could stop it. Why is everyone else losing what I'm gaining? The woman stopped circling him and looked at him directly. Because what flows to one place must leave another, she said simply. The river does not create, it moves. What your wife has poured into your hands, she has pulled from somewhere else, from the wells, from the farms, from the nets in the water, from your own neighbors, whether they know it or not. Okechukwu felt sick. She did not ask anyone's permission to take it, the woman continued, and the village is beginning to feel what has been taken from them. Soon they will not just feel it, they will know where it went. What happens then? Okechukwu asked. though some part of him already feared the answer. The woman's lips curved, though there was no warmth in it. That, she said, depends on what kind of husband you choose to be when that day comes. And it is coming soon. Sooner than you think. She turned and stepped off the path into the bush, and within 3 steps she was gone, as if the undergrowth itself had swallowed her, leaving only the smell of river water behind.
Don't forget to like this video and drop a comment telling us what you think is about to happen. We are just getting started.
The whispers grew louder after that. It started small, a neighbor who used to greet him warmly now, only nodding, eyes sliding away too quickly. An old woman at the market who refused to take his money one morning, pushing his hand back gently and serving the customer behind him instead, without explanation. Then it stopped being whispers. One evening, Okechukwu's mother came to his compound, her face tight with worry.
They are
saying things in town, she said, not sitting down, her hands twisting the edge of her wrapper.
What are they saying?
They are saying your wife is not normal.
Your wife is not normal.
They are saying she is a water woman. That your money is coming from somewhere it should not come from. That the whole village is suffering because of what she has been taking. Mama, Okechukwu started.
I am not
asking you if it is true, she said quickly, cutting him off, fear plain in her voice. I am telling you what people are saying. And when people in this town start saying such things together in one voice, it does not stay as talk for very long. She left without eating, without her usual long visit, glancing back at the compound twice before she disappeared down the path, as if she was afraid of what might be watching from inside it. That night, Okechukwu did not sleep. He thought of his mother's face. He thought of the dry sponge, the full cup, the mark on his arm that still had not warmed in 3 days. He thought of every neighbor who used to smile at him and now looked away. And underneath all of it, quiet and shameful, he thought of his new motorcycle, his new room, the money in his pocket that had come from somewhere he did not fully understand. If the village was right, if it really was true, then every good thing that had happened to him in 3 months had been built on something taken from the very people now whispering his name in fear. He looked at his sleeping wife in the dark. He did not know, lying there, that by the next evening, the whispering would stop and something far worse would take its place. It happened on a Sunday after church, when half the village was still gathered near the town square the way they always were on Sunday afternoons. Okechukwu and Ngozi were walking home together, her hand resting lightly in his, when a group of men stepped into their path. At the front of them was Papa Eze, the oldest man in Achala, his face hard in a way Okechukwu had never seen it before. Behind him stood 6 other men, fathers, farmers, men whose families had once smiled at Okechukwu and now stood with their arms folded and their eyes cold. A crowd began to gather, drawn by the sight of men blocking a path in the middle of the afternoon. Women came out from their compounds. Children stopped their games to watch. Within minutes, what had been a quiet Sunday walk had become something the whole village was now witnessing. Okechukwu, Papa Eze said, his voice carrying across the gathering crowd. We have known your father. We have known you since you were a boy crawling in this dust. So I will speak plainly, because you deserve plainness from me before anything else. He turned his eyes to Ngozi. Since this woman entered your house, this man has grown rich beyond reason, he said, loud enough for everyone to hear. And since she entered this town, every other man in Achala has watched his own hands grow emptier. Our wells, our farms, our nets, all of it failing while his alone fills. We are not foolish people. We know what this looks like. A murmur moved through the crowd. Okechukwu felt Ngozi's hand tighten in his. We are asking you, Papa Eze continued, in front of your people, in front of everyone who has ever called you brother, is your wife a daughter of the water? The square went completely silent. Every eye in Achala turned toward Okechukwu. He felt Ngozi beside him, her body rigid, her breath caught somewhere between his and the crowd's. He felt the mark on his arm, cold as it had been every day since that night at the river. He had seconds to decide what to say, and he understood, standing there in front of his entire village, that whatever left his mouth next would change everything that came after it. His marriage, his wealth, his place among the only people he had ever called his own. He opened his mouth, and before a single word could leave it, Ngozi let go of his hand, stepped forward in front of the entire crowd, and spoke first.
I will
answer for myself, she said, her voice clear and steady, despite the fear Okechukwu could still feel trembling beneath it.
Yes. Everything you believe about me is true.
The crowd erupted. Gasps, angry shouts, someone crying out that they had known it all along, a child being pulled back behind her mother's wrapper. Papa Eze raised one hand and the noise slowly fell. "Then you understand," he said to her, "what this town must now decide. And you, Okechukwu," he turned his hard eyes back to him, "you understand that this town cannot decide your wife's fate without first hearing yours.
Will you stand with this water woman who has been emptying our wells to fill your pockets?
Or will you stand with your people, the way your father always did?" The whole village waited. Ngozi did not look at him. She stood facing the crowd alone, her shoulders straight, as if she had already accepted whatever answer he was about to give. Okechukwu looked at his wife's back. He looked at Papa Eze's unforgiving face. He looked at his mother, standing somewhere in the crowd, her hands pressed against her mouth. He thought of the wealth that had filled his hands in 3 short months. Wealth he now understood had been pulled, piece by piece, from the very people standing in front of him, waiting for his answer. He thought of the woman who had cooked his food, warmed his bed, and never once raised her voice against him. He took a breath. He started, and at that exact moment, the ground beneath the entire square began to shake, gently at first, then harder, the dust rising in small clouds around everyone's feet, the well at the center of the town square suddenly groaning, a deep, wet grinding sound rising from somewhere far beneath the earth, as if something ancient and patient had just decided it was done waiting for an answer from anyone at all.
Okechukwu is standing in front of his entire village, and the ground itself is answering before he can. What happens next will decide everything: his marriage, his wealth, his life in Achala. But I am not continuing this story until I hear from you. If you want part 2, type continue in the comments right now. Let us get this story to 1,000 comments. The river is still listening, and so am I.